We are back in Neo Gotham with Batman issue, or should I say, Batman Beyond, issue 37. This is the first full appearance of Batwoman Beyond. I know I've been kind of going out in these out of order, but I've been reading the ones that I've had, and then I'm trying to get the ones that I missed going backwards. So with this one, if you like, I'll talk about it at the end, but if you enjoy what you've seen, this one is kind of getting harder and harder to find. So I would, while you can, grab it and pick it up, add it to your collection. And I kind of wish that I would have gotten it's supposed to be like a black cover with her kind of silhouetted, but still seeing Terry here like this is cool. And if you haven't been following along, essentially the last arc. Now, one thing I'm going to preface here, and let me know what y'all think. I jumped head on, and we'll go over these issues. What pulled me into Dan Jurgens' Batman Beyond is he essentially kind of made a sequel to Batman Beyond the Return of the Joker film. And in this one, the Joker actually comes back. Like, he doesn't take over Tim Drake. I can't remember the arc very well because it's been quite a few years since I've read it. But anyway, it was fascinating, and we get to see, and there was a lot of like nods to Death of the Family with Jason Todd, with Terry's brother Matt being Robin, and I was just engrossed, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But then they went to a second arc with this character named Falseface, and what happens is Falseface essentially steals Terry's identity, and so Terry loses his memory, and Falseface dies with all his memories because he impersonates him. And if it would have just been Batman Beyond, I think I could have looked past it. But at this time, I don't remember. It's probably about 2019, something like that. Maybe latter 2018, early 2019. Terry loses his memory. Aquaman loses his memory, which I've said this before, but I'm gonna say it again because it made me laugh. So, hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself because ADHD is a pain in the ass. And then the other one, Dick Grayson gets shot in the head, and he loses his memory. So at the same time, 3 different books, 3 different characters have amnesia, and I was just like, this is becoming too much, and so I just bowed out of all of them. Out of all of them, though, I wish I would have stuck with Batman Beyond. Nightwing, don't care. Aquaman, don't care. Anyway, back to the story now. So when Aquaman loses his memory, he calls himself Andy. And when Dick loses his memory, he calls himself Rick Grayson. And I know everyone hates that, so it is what it is. Anyway, I remember I was on a cast with all my friends, and I said they should call it The Adventures of Rick and Andy. But anyway, that's kind of, I bowed out of the Falseface one. So coming out of the Falseface arc, we lead into this. So that was a long way of explaining this book. So decades from now. The time is 11:37 p.m., Master McGinnis. And as tomorrow is a school day, I suggest you should be in bed. I hear what you're saying, Alfred, but there's no way I could sleep while my brother's missing. I continue to monitor all police, hospital, and emergency communications. There is no new information on his whereabouts, sad to say. How can that be? He can't just fall off the face of the... Hey, the bat suit is gone. Did Mr. Wayne take it for some reason? Unknown. The monitor system was blocked for a short time. The only person who'd know how to do that is Terry. Wake up, Mr. Wayne. Terry's back. And so, coming out of that, you're like, ooh, this could be kind of neat. And so, we cut to street level Old Gotham. And we see this woman that works at a pharmacy. She gets robbed by some hoods. Blur of red. Snap. Crack. Thank you. Who are you? Maybe this... Oh. And then we see a batarang. So when this book first came out, you can kind of say, oh, maybe Terry is back. Because I don't remember seeing a lot of promotion for Dan Jurgens' Batman story. So this is part 1 of First Flight. Dan Jurgens, writer. Chen penciler. Sean Parsons, ink. Chris Sotomayor, colors. Travis Lanham doing the lettering. And Lee Weeks did a very awesome one. I don't know if this is his, but we're not going to get into all of that. For days now, rumors have surged to the city that Batman was replaced by the criminal known as Falseface. Tonight, viewers, we go deep into the old streets of Neo Gotham to find out if that's true. And if so, ask the question, where is Batman? The Dark Knight's not been seen for days. Some fear he's dead or wounded. Follow me, Jack Ryder, as we ask if Batman is... Can I help you with that? And I just love that Jack Ryder's still around, even though he's older. And one thing that I always, that when, with like retcons and reboots that drive me nuts is I can't remember if this is like comic lore or TV lore. Help me get it straight in my head, but I cannot remember. At one point, Jack Ryder was the uh, what's the character's name? The green haired guy that looks like a wild man. The not the jester, not the rascal. Y'all know who I'm talking about, but I cannot remember if that was just from the animated series or if that's like legit comic lore. Anyway, the same woman from the pharmacy, she goes, I was locking up my Dixon section pharmacy when a couple of thugs tried to mug me. Someone, I only got a glimpse in the dark, but I'm pretty sure it was Batman, came out of nowhere and saved me. A glimpse isn't much to go on. True, but this is a battering. And so this is reports of gunfire, and then we cut to the next one. So this is kind of like boom, boom, boom. So I like that the Dan Jurgens gives you enough exposition to kind of see where everyone's wondering, where's the Dark Knight? But then also keeping the story moving along. Who? Bat. You haven't offed him yet? No matter, we got this. Next stop, body bag. What the hell? And I just love how, in terms of visual storytelling, how we don't see who the character is. We just get these little glimpses. It's just a cool little idea. So in the midst of all that, we hear, not another step, you two, stop. You robbed the Nutrimart. We're hungry, hurry. And so this is Terry living on the streets, not knowing who he is. And this woman's name is Constance Gustav, I believe. Now, we learn more about her. And I don't remember seeing her in the Batman Beyond animated series. But apparently this is her first appearance as well. So take that as you will. He teams up with her to help survive on the streets. So what I like here is, you think it's kind of random that all of a sudden we're seeing Terry. But what I like is because we're seeing all the action with Batman. And then we see that Terry's still surviving on the streets. So we're just kind of like, all right, what's going on? Kind of a nice little enigma. And then, of course, we cut back to Matt and Bruce monitoring everything. That's got to be, it was Terry who took the suit. I'm not convinced. Probably had to respond to an emergency. I'd like to think so. But when False Face died wearing Terry's face, it left the real Terry with no knowledge of who he is. It's unlikely he's the one who took the suit. But if it wasn't my brother, who in the world could it possibly be? And halfway through the book, I mean, we're kind of halfway through, and we still haven't really seen who's this Batman. So that's a nice little way to build up the suspense to deliver the character, which happens in Gotham Park. This guy's holding hostages. He goes, I will shoot one of these fine citizens right between their beady little eyes every 5 minutes until you idiot, you're so busy ranting that you didn't even notice that your hostages were rescued. They might be safe, but you aren't, old man. And then pump. And see how we got a little, the far away, fly away of Batman just a minute ago? Now we get the character covering him there. And then I love this, and the suit just protects him. That's a cool panel right there. I love that. And still, the maniac blew himself up. It must have killed Batman. Batman's here, out of my way. It's true. Get a shot of this for me. Batman is obscured, Mr. Ryder. You have lights. Use them. Yes, sir. Smoke clears. We still don't see who this character is. Ladies and gentlemen, to confirm what I suspected all along, the missing bat, and then full page of who this character is. Look at that. We didn't have to speed it along. Jurgens took his time telling the story, letting the artwork do the heavy lifting to get the reveal. That's how you comic book. And that's why Dan Jurgens is a veteran. That's why, people, I love John Byrne's Superman run, but Dan Jurgens Superman to me is what Chris Claremont's X-Men is to Marvel. And so when I picked this up, I was a little reluctant because I'm so, like when Jurgens and Peter Tomasi were doing Superman and Action Comics. The books were great. And then Bendis. Anyway, so I was a little nervous. I'm like, I've seen Jurgens, and he's written Batman through crossovers and whatnot. But I was like, how can he do a Batman Beyond? And I love it, and that's why I wish I wouldn't jumped off the False Face arc. And I'm probably gonna to go back and what do you call it? Get the whole run of this volume 6 if it's Dan Jurgens all the way through, because I thoroughly enjoy him. Now, as the book comes to an end, talking about the animated Batman Beyond show, a villain from the past has returned from the dead. And that may seem like a joke, me just talking about the Joker, but this character is Batman Beyond lore, not just Batman mythos in and of itself. So I don't want to give too much away, but this book, if you are a Batman fan and a Batman Beyond fan, right up your alley. Excellent storytelling, beautiful artwork, and I cannot recommend it enough. So if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it's going to get your action figures and comics, and see if you can get your hands on this book. If you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate it if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you won't mind hitting that fancy little Beyond bell next to subscribe, that way as I get to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love to talk with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure the links down in the description. And if you enjoy what I do and you'd like to support the channel, I've left the PayPal link in the description. And if not, I still appreciate you stopping by and checking out the video. Either way, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.